What's up, guys? This week we talk about our undying dedication to work, my awkward mishap with shooting videos, and our new content strategy for studios. Check it out.
Hello and welcome to another episode of the Studios podcast. I think this is the fourth or fifth name change. We're just going to keep rolling with it until we figure something out that sticks. Recording a little bit earlier than usual today because I'm going to be doing some other filming, which is probably the newest thing that's happened this week. So I don't know if you want to jump right into the sort of shooting stuff or if you want to hit on something else.
Yeah, why not? Start there.
So this episode, I think we're going to try to keep it a little bit more focused, talking about content strategies, story, etc., because it's been a pretty big part of our week. I haven't really gone yet, so maybe you want to jump in and talk about your experience recording this week, setting up cameras and lights and all that kind of stuff.
Doing all of that has reminded me of why, I said this yesterday, of why I never wanted to be a film person. And I don't know, I feel like you took that the wrong way. But I wasn't saying like, oh, I'm insecure about my inability to do this. It's more like I remember when I was a kid using my camcorder and making little videos with my friends, and that was so much fun. But my least favorite part was the technical part where we had to set everything up and like think of what to do. I was like, this is the worst part. I liked when we got to actually be doing it, I guess. So that reminded me of that. I have no knowledge of how things work. So every time we're setting up lighting and seeing how my skin looks, it's all new for me because I don't have that eye to look at the underlying color of my skin when we're reviewing it, and when we're in the edit. You're like, oh, you have a tinge of pink here, and it takes a lot for me to understand what you mean there. It's kind of like,
but once you did
tasting.
You not see it? Do you know what I mean? Like once I showed it to you,
I kind of
like,
do,
wow,
but like I would never pick that up on my own. Like when you say it, I'm like, sure. But
yeah, do you remember when I changed it? So for people who, for context here, Grace, because of the room that we're in and stuff like that, and also the kind of light, right? Because each light technically also has a color. So the light that was being used for her fill was a little bit pinker than the key light. So when you're in post, you can kind of see it. And it's not hard because you can just grab one shade and then we just hue shifted it and then all of a sudden it matched. Do you remember that?
Yeah, that was cool.
Yeah, so that's very noticeable. That's all of a sudden we're like, oh, wow. Yeah. And it does look better. It looks more even, I guess, right?
And I've recorded 2 videos of sub versus dub where I, as a Japanese person, review the sub versus dub of certain anime scenes and give my 2 cents on it. And logistically, it's been annoying because in the first shoot, I was supposed to have, be listening to the sub versus dub in my headphones and be speaking into a microphone, but it was actually playing on the speaker as well out loud. So the microphone picked up that, and that made it a headache for the editor, and I feel bad. And in the second edit, I had freaking mouth crust on my mouth.
Yeah, that's a weird one to explain. I don't know what that means.
I didn't even, I had, like when you get like the white stuff in the corner of your mouth because your mouth is dry.
The foam?
And then I was shooting, and I think like around 8/10 of the way there, I noticed it and I picked it, and I think it's on camera, a moment where I just went silent. I was like, oh no, has it been here the whole time? And I was so nervous.
You should keep that in. Keep that in. We should keep that in.
Why? It's so crusty. But so then when I played it back, it's not that bad. Well, yeah, for the first video, there were moments where I was in and out of focus. In the second video, there's moments of in and out of mouth crust. So it's fine.
Do you know the Metal Gear Solid sound? That like,
no.
Okay, I'm going to make, like when it happens, I'm going to have them zoom in on it and put a big, like a sound, like a meme sound, and then it'll be like tracked. Yeah, we're going to have fun with it. We might as well. So
that's true. It's so gross though. It's like, it's whatever. So
it's authentic.
It was frustrating though because I see myself on my image while I'm recording, but I can't see that small of a thing. So I learned my lesson of keep water there and drink water because I guess I really am talking for 1 hour which is a lot.
Yeah, and maybe like every 10 or 20 minutes, once you take a break from one thing to the next, just check yourself, right? Because things slip and change all the time. So I it is good practice. Again, that's why, so you don't like record for an hour and realize the speakers are on the whole time. Like you record for like your 10 or 20 and then just double check quickly again. Oh, did the battery die here or whatever? And then just keep going. This is all because we're self-taping, right? So and technically I'm helping Grace out, but we're trying to set it up so she can just self-tape. And so if people are curious about what that setup is, we have just a simple like Godox light, which is not on now, but we have a softbox. We have these two little battery-powered. They're really meant to be like put on top of a camera, but they're full RGB lights. So we can give colored backgrounds or colored fills or colored highlights or whatever. And the room that we're in shooting in is small. So there's a lot of white walls. So there's a lot of natural bounce. So we utilize that. And we've been trying to come up with, what's going to look good for what we have. It's funny because we went back and forth all week, and the original idea was that we're just going to like blast the white wall behind her, and then we'll just key her out. She doesn't wear anything white. You do a Luma key or color key. You get rid of the white, and then you overlay her on whatever you want. It worked pretty well the first time, which the lighting wasn't really good enough, but like it worked okay the second time. I mean, it's the same issues you'd have with any kind of key, which is hair, and she has this awesome hair, but it also can kind of go everywhere at times. And it's funny because we kind of ended up having this big debate, and I ended up doing a very classic, I think, Dale move, which is everybody is trying so hard to do one thing, and then I'm just like, how about we just forget the whole thing? And then all of a sudden, everything is magically easier. And it's just simplicity, I think, can be underrated. So now, and it still looks clean and professional, she's just on a white background. And that fixed all of the problems that we were having. And so we're just going to put her in a little circle on white and just overlay that. Yeah, so it's a very Dale move to just like, hey, how about we just forget all of it, simplify it, and take it from there.
Another little thing about shooting, this is very logistical, that was annoying to me was that I have to do my makeup fully. I don't like doing my, what do you call it? Skin makeup, because I like to keep my skin breathing, but I do it for the camera, and I did it on Tuesday before I went to work. And then I lost my keys on Tuesday morning, and I started freaking
I forgot
out
about that.
Yeah, I started freaking out. I was like, I'm going to be late to work if I don't go now, but then blah, blah, blah. And normally I would just break down, like I would still be looking for it, but I would be crying. But I had 2 tears come out, and then I was like, wait, I have makeup. I can't ruin it for the shoot. So I stopped crying, and I just continued as if, but it's sad. I missed out on a cry. So that was one thing. I did end up finding my keys. You
called me panicking.
Yeah.
I will say that before you kind of tell everybody what happened, which of course is funny, but
yeah,
I will say that, when you call me, I don't know, you got like a big heart, I guess you were so concerned, like, but Dale, I'm going to be like late to work. I'm like, dude, it's okay. Find your keys. Like you could be 10 or 15 minutes late. I'll give you a pass this one time. Like, it was just interesting. I think it was kind of sweet, like what your priorities were. And I'm grateful for it. You're a hard worker, but it was pretty funny. We're like, you didn't have to, it wasn't a life or death thing that you were going to be 15 minutes late to find your keys. Like she was willing to leave her door unlocked to come to work and do her work day and then keep looking when she got back home. And we have a remote. She could work remotely. So that's what was extra funny about it. But maybe the makeup, you were so committed.
The makeup, and then also your hand is busted. So I've been coming this whole week, and like I thought I had to for that. And I was like, what if you don't have food? You know, like that was what was on my mind. So yeah.
Can we touch on that? I know we keep tangenting, but I just want to say you have been incredibly helpful during this time. This is my left hand has pretty bad tendonitis, and it's kind of out of commission. And you've just been super helpful. So I guess I want to say that and give the context before people start saying weird stuff in the comments. Like, I can't really I'm pretty inhibited as far as some basic tasks. And it's not that I can't do them. It's that, she just makes it a lot easier and a lot faster to like open jars and stuff,
Mm-hmm.
But yeah.
See, that compliment felt nice. I'm not fighting that one.
Oh,
we can come back to
we'll get into that.
See, I accept. I like that. Thank you. I'm glad. But
let the people know where your keys were, and then we can go.
The freaking keys! I called my landlord. I was like, she's gonna make a copy. I was panicking, and then I just decided to call my dad, and he so casually was just like, "Did you check the trash can?" And I was like, "No." And I look, and they're in there. Like, why? I checked everywhere. I checked my microwave, my fridge, my toilet, my everything, but not the trash. But he said that was a common. It was funny when I told you, Dale, and then you said, "Oh, is that some genetic thing? Like, you both throw your keys out?" But my dad said that's a common place for people to lose their keys. So that's a tip. If you lose your keys, check the trash, because sometimes you go to throw something out and let go of your keys at the same time. So that's apparently what he said.
I can see it now. Or you're cooking, you knock it off the counter. I've definitely done stuff like that. It's kind of like if you've ever thrown out your real utensils with your takeout.
Yeah. And then when I came to work, so I started the day remote, and then when you were in a meeting, I decided to commute to the office, and then I was ready. I was like, oh, that ate up my lunchtime, so now I don't get lunchtime. And that was in my brain. But then you were like, are we gonna eat now or what? And I was like, I get to eat. So that was special.
That's awesome. I mean, it's awesome because it's funny. It's funny, yes. And it's also awesome because it means like, the dedication is meaningful if you're like that committed to stuff. I'm a fan of that. It means that you're passionate about it. And that,
it's funny because that doesn't feel like I'm passionate about it. That just feels like normal. Like, that's what you're supposed to do.
I'm sure. Yeah.
I know.
Good. That means you were brought up like you have good hard work values that were built into you. But like,
it's the immigrant parent.
It's definitely not. It's definitely not normal. Which again, now that I'm complimenting Grace, we've had.
Let's get into that.
Yeah, like we had like I don't know what happened, dude. Yesterday. So Grace comes in. She
I was so pissed
did something.
For no reason.
Yeah, she did something. So talking about shooting, okay? So she comes in yesterday also made up, all done, looking really pretty and everything for her shoot. And but nobody had scheduled the shoot for her. That was it was just really funny. And that we're in a meeting and I was like, "Why are you shooting?" And she's standing there setting up the camera. And then our producer's like, "I didn't schedule a shoot for her." And then I don't even know what I said, but you just got so angry. The hate, I could like feel, it was like very anime. I could feel the energy radiating on me.
You were like, well, Grace looks very pretty, but with these hands, and then, or something like that. And then you had said that earlier this week too, like, Grace looks very pretty. And it's like, why are you saying it like that? Like, there have been times where you're like, oh my God, your cool outfit, and I'm like, thanks, that is a normal compliment. But when you say it, like, it felt like when you said that, also you said other things this week about setup for the camera and everything, and it feels like you're assuming that I am insecure and you're trying to secure me. That's what it feels like, and that's what makes me mad. I'm like, I'm chilling, and then all of a sudden you're
what it is it's that I know you put effort into it, and I want to make sure that is recognized.
Well, then say that. Be like, I know you prepared today, so, and that's appreciated. But like,
But it's more fun and trolly to do it the other way, you know? I'm a
made
big
me-
teaser. Again, if people haven't caught on from the show, I tease. That's how I keep things light. Because we have this balance at the company where we're pretty hardcore. Like, Grace is just like, forget lunch. I don't need that. Who needs to eat, right? We're pretty hardcore. But then I'm constantly, and I think it does stem from my family and in general from the top, I'm just always ribbing people and, you know, just getting a rise out of them. Even if I'm making myself look like an idiot, I think that's something that's just become a little bit of our culture where it's like we take our work very seriously, but not like ourselves that seriously, you know? And I think it keeps it fun. So I don't mind it when I piss her off. It's all because sometimes it's so funny. And
like, to be clear, I'm not like mad. I know it's a joke,
you are definitely annoyed. I'll say this: after 2 years, you're way more comfortable just being annoyed and letting me know, for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah, she can get real sassy.
Bad,
but I don't know either. It doesn't really like change how I feel. It doesn't make I don't feel insecure or weird or that It's like insubordinate. I guess I don't think that either. Sometimes I'll do it in front of other people, and that's when I'm like, yo. That's yeah. Like, yeah. Which if you recall when we first I'll tell a quick story. We had brunch for the first time as a company. It was a big company meeting. Grace had just started. And she just talked shit about me. Yeah.
Oh my God.
You just talked shit about me right in front of everybody. And I'm sitting right next to you like, yo, girl, I don't know you. And yes, like, we can joke. Because, like, I made the joke. Basically, I made a joke about, like, oh, yeah, you know, she has to sit here and listen to me be stupid all day. And then she was just like, it's horrible, you know? And I was like, yo, that was not an invitation to just do that in front of everybody that I've never met before.
That I freaking learned. That I felt so bad. I remember what I was wearing that day when you told me that. I remember exactly where I was in my dad's office. I was wearing like a zebra print. Yeah, I remember.
That's so funny.
I will never forget that. But if I'm still doing that, that's not good.
I don't think so. We definitely have to work on our game in public for sure, but we haven't had enough practice. You know, I'll throw another story out there just in case people want to know. We went to this big industry party at Jonathan Gray's offices. He's a big entertainment lawyer. And
oh God, not
Grace
this too.
And usually when we go to these networking events, we kind of strategize, right? Like, she's like, all right, I'm going to talk to this person. You talk to that person. And then if we find somebody that's worth it, then we'll kind of bring them into the loop. And
I didn't realize this was like a networking. I thought it was just like a party.
Yeah, this girl comes. I'm not going to say what she wasn't entirely sober. She comes to the thing, and that's okay. You know, it was an after work thing. We were having a good time. I see her talking to this lady. She looks engaged. And she calls me over, right? And I say 2 words to the lady, and usually we have like a nice system. She'll like kind of catch me up and make sure that I know why like we're here in our own subtle way. Instead, she just abandons me. This lady was the worst conversation, had nothing to do with anything that was relevant to us. And then I couldn't find her for like an hour. She was girl talking in the bathroom, the one place I couldn't look. And I was like, you abandoned me.
I didn't realize it was a networking thing because we didn't go to. This is the context. Usually, all the other parties we go together and we're like a team. We went separately. We had our own +1s. We weren't together. I thought it was I genuinely thought this was like a party you were inviting me to. That's why I didn't have my work brain on. I mean, otherwise I would not have showed up not sober.
It was both. Nah, but bro, maybe that's it. When you like, because you can just do both.
Or I could, yeah. I just didn't know.
That's what I'm saying. You just don't know. Yeah. You don't have the skills yet. But yeah, you just do both, bro. Like, you want to have fun and a good time. You also want to make sure that time is valuable. That the people that you're meeting are the people that you want to meet, the light that you like. You know, it's not like I have on my brain like, oh, this is going to lead to this thing and that thing. I'm just like, are they cool? Are they legit? Is there something that's interesting here? You know,
I met cool people in the bathroom though. When I was in the bathroom, I met a bunch of people.
Oh yeah, bro.
Talked about
that's another pro tip right
company.
there.
Yeah, I mean, I think that was a pro tip we did past episodes, but yeah. So I wasn't entirely.
Yeah, but you don't abandon your homeboy like that. You know what I'm saying? So yeah, so we're constantly digging at each other. And I'll just say, you know, yesterday I was on a call with my studio team, and there's some newer people on the call. I think I said I wanted to murder you or something. I said something like that. Like, I'm going to break your neck and snap your esophagus, and you're going to bleed out all over the table. And I can't.
That, but
I didn't go that far. Sure. But like I would, you know, I would say something stupid like that. But
you said I was going to get hate on, because I haven't watched Cowboy Bebop. You're like, get ready for the hate. You're going to be slandered. Something.
It was just so... and I said, yeah, I'll hate you. That's what I'll hate you. I'll hate you so hard. Yeah, our like writer just had this like look on her face. She was just like wide-eyed, like what? And then I'm like, I forgot. I was like, we have to like introduce them. Like, this is just normal. We don't really mean it. It's okay. Yeah. Mom and dad are not fighting, you know. I think it just keeps it chill.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's it. It just keeps the vibes chill if we can poke fun at each other. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So, yeah,
serious.
I feel like it was a week like that. Yeah. I think there's a sick part of the both of us that likes when we piss each other off. You know, she'll laugh at me all the time when I'm in misery. You know what I mean? And I just like, I'm like, all right, well, if my misery brings you joy, there's a win somewhere.
You know, someone's got to laugh.
I guess so. So that I think can sort of take us into some of the other meetings we've been having this week. Grace and I have been together in a lot of these different things. It's probably why we're just ribbing each other now, is we're just like, because of my hand, she's been typing for me. She's been really shadowing more meetings than normal, because I'm sure if you do happen to follow our podcast, you'll notice like a couple of weeks ago, we were not really seeing each other a lot. And so now it's kind of like we're really, really connected again. Good times. But it's definitely, we've been having a lot of conversations about productivity, about the kind of things we're doing. So let's get a bit into this content strategy conversation here, and sort of where we've currently landed. First and foremost, we're building a content studio, and there's so many ways you can do that. I've become a big believer in YouTube and the internet, and basically utilizing these platforms whose goal is to connect you with an audience to really help you do that. Okay, so I think YouTube, if I were to pick from all the social platforms, I think you got to find the one that fits you the best. I like making videos, so YouTube makes sense. I like making long videos. It makes sense. And so YouTube became a big one for us. And then we know we wanted to tell narrative stories. There's not really that many good platforms for like original narrative content. YouTube is kind of one of them. And then I think Webtoons is another good one, because literally that's what it is. It's narrative content. So we kind of zoned in on ones where we felt we could be the best in the world at, we were passionate about, and then the last thing that we're trying to figure out is what's the good economic driver, because no matter what, these platforms are not, you shouldn't look at them as the main economic driver, because we've noticed with Snapchat that ad revenue can fluctuate dramatically. And so really what you want to be focusing on is building really good base of customers, aka fans. And so we've been really dialing in what kind of strategies can we use to build fans. So I'll give you guys our current 2-part strategy. Essentially, we have top of the funnel, and then you have like mid-funnel content. Okay? Technically, the bottom of the funnel is that they would like buy our book, right? Or read our... Right now, we're not selling anything. We just want readers. So the funnel would lead them to reading on the platform. So the top of the funnel content is short form stuff. I think it's actually great for that. YouTube Shorts. We're hitting super hard. TikTok, Instagram Reels, etc. There's never been a time, and I just posted this recently, like it's time to respect vertical video, like as a format that can be mastered. The same one that you would put the same kind of attention to that you would for like the 16:9 format, the theater format, right? Or the 2:3:5 format or whatever. Now 9:16 is 100% just as valuable, if not more, to understand and master than that. So hitting it hard with YouTube Shorts. We struggled all the last few weeks trying to figure out what kind of content we'd make. And that's where you can see we've landed on one of the things we're going to try to run is the sub versus dub thing. So we had a big debate about, how wide do we cast the net? How valuable is that? And I have the standpoint that going viral, period, is always good. It's never not good to go viral. So I'm pushing the team to create content that could funnel into Webtoons readers, but that cast the widest net possible. And we happen to be very fortunate that Grace likes being on camera, is actually Japanese, and so she can, and grew up with manga and anime, that she can actually talk about those subjects, which is great. And so she's been having a lot of fun doing these sub versus dub things, which is something we've seen work already. And so we're bringing our unique spin to it. So that's what we would call a top of the funnel thing, is like the widest, most viral net of like big franchise anime. Cowboy Bebop, Naruto, etc.
The win-win with the sub versus dub for me personally is that I don't even have to prepare, because it's kind of just Japanese knowledge, which I have. So, I mean, I guess the only prep I would have to really do is watching the anime, but yeah.
I agree, but I think that will come more
fun and easier. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I think we're all gonna watch more anime. Oh no, I can't wait. And I mean, for me, I grew up on a lot of the classics. So Bebop is a classic, and I know we just touched that one. What I didn't do was I don't like the long ones, so I skipped One Piece, and these are also classics. I skipped Naruto, so I'm gonna have to. I watched a chunk of Bleach and stopped. Because Netflix didn't continue it. It was really annoying. So I think it's fun that we can kind of dive back into that, but we have to actually like it. That was the big fight. It was like, I want to make sure that we like it, so we'll do it. So like, you'll watch the anime to do the piece because you like it. Do you know what I mean? So that's kind of why we spent a lot of time trying to figure out what we could do. And I'm just trying to get my team to open their mind to the kinds of content that could be made. Like, nobody was thinking sub versus dub, and all of a sudden it's pretty entertaining. But we did. We tried other kind of things. I mean, you're entertaining from our internal view. We don't know what other people are going to think, but like,
we haven't edited my sub versus dub yet.
No, but we did do a test. We did do a test.
React?
Yeah.
It's a little different, but.
Yes, but so we've been testing, and she's, we'll see how you perform on camera, but I think the reason why I suggested it is because I thought you'd be good at it, and so we're kind of also trying to lean into the strengths of the people here, which would be another strategy, I guess. So like, I'm going to do the more serious, breaking down a story, talk about our Webtoon stuff, and Grace is going to do the more I'm fun. I'm going to like be, talk about Japanese stuff, manga, culture, things like that. And so that's kind of how we're going to sort of divide it up. So that mid-funnel content, which is going to be more direct marketing, is like behind the scenes of our comic, me talking, doing commentary on it, us actually like kind of animating it on YouTube, etc. And so that's kind of how we're splitting it up. And so it's been interesting because like technically we're putting all this work in, nothing's come out yet. That's been the hardest part, right? Is just actually like believing and just hoping and like, staking, in this case, a good amount of money, time, and effort on it. But yeah, it's, what's interesting about this one is that, it's a personal story, but it's really fun to kind of treat it from a third person view. And how I'm pulling real life things into it. I wrote a scene this morning about pizza, basically. And it's really not, it's just inspired by me knowing that I would be sitting at Tish working late and then go to the pizza place that was on, I guess was like Mercer and University Place or something, that was like right next to Tish. I don't know if you know what I'm talking about. They might even have it. Yeah, and I just, and I would literally buy a $5 giant piece of lasagna and like split it into two and do stuff like that all the time. So I just kept thinking about, the cheap living like a college student, you know? And that inspired this scene that I think is actually poignant, you know? So it's kind of been fun to do stuff like that with it. Also, we're at a phase where we're actually starting to get some rough sketches in. And for me, my happy place is in developing and breaking story, right? So, for example, we got these first sketches, and I was just like, I don't know what it's. I'm curious what how you take it, you know, for me, because I don't want to come off like a diva. I definitely had a moment where I was like, this is all wrong, you know? The opening, why would you do it? The opening should be like this, and this is the vibe, and you did this. Get rid of all of that. Start it all over, you know?
Yeah, but it's, because you have a vision. Like, you got to direct until you get that, so.
Do you think, you know, it's funny because I think the way I've evolved is I don't like to micromanage like that, you know? Sometimes
you don't like to micromanage at work when everyone's doing their work, but like when it comes to your story that's been in your head, like I'm sure it's worth it to get what you want out of it.
Yeah, so. But you know, the value of what's in, you know how it goes. That's the struggle. The value of what's in my head isn't that. I guess what happens is when it's more about the concept, when the concept gets realized, if I feel, because I feel like I'm always just taking a guess, you know?
Yeah.
And so is Fran, and I respect our artist's intuition. But sometimes he doesn't see, we're not at that point where we're in each other's heads. Like we're not, I guess that's all. I get frustrated. I was only nervous because I was like, wait, why do you see it this way? Are we not, which version of this movie is better, you know? I'm not sold on my own taste. And so when he did something radically different, I like that. But it does make me nervous that if I pull it farther into my direction, like, am I right? Because it's not like what he did was like bad, right? So that's been the conflict of it all. But in this most recent case, when I saw the revisions, I was like, yes, this is the correct feeling, you know? And it is maybe more individualized right now. But when I was talking to my good friend Shelby about it, and I was like, we did this one little thing with the heart thumping, which, by the way, it ends up being a collaboration. Yeah. So the opening episode, the guy gets dumped by the love of his life. And he did this little thing, like, as you know what's coming as they're talking, that like his heart, he like, you know, all I wrote was like, I want to literally see his heart shatter, right? Mm-hmm. But he set it up where like you see his heart thumping as, you know, throughout it, that you're like and it's so, this is when we are aligned. I'm like, that's the feeling, that tension that happens before it happens, that feeling is it, and he did it so well, you know, but his ending fell flat. So I felt good to just push and be like, no, full screen, heart shatters, the pieces fall to black. That's when we hit them with the credits. It came out so good, I thought. I was like, yep, that's it. And it ended up being a combination of the both of us, but you know.
I have a question. Since your background is director in film, like what you're saying here is that, you know, what our illustrator has given you, you're worried like, oh, do I change it or do I trust what he's giving? But then it's like, have you ever felt that way with an actor where they do something and you're like, oh, was that right? Should I not say anything? Or like with an actor, it's different. You're like, no, I can tell them what to do.
If I'm going to be completely honest, I was in I wonder what it would be like now. The last time I directed a narrative film was coming up on 10 years ago. And when I directed that film, it was with an Academy Award winner and very like prominent actor. So I did my best to manage the personalities because they're real people.
Yeah.
So I'll never forget on that set, I just remember her saying, hey, I'm not going to do this. Like what was in the script. It was the day of shooting. She's like, I'm not going to play it this way. And in that moment, you have to then, that's what it's like. So What do you say to Mercedes? Oh, you have to? And you know, my general sentiment is like, if we're dealing with people, you got to work with and around them. Mm-hmm. So I'm not going to do that. Instead, I'm going to go, okay, what are you going to do? What does feel right? And how do I then work around that thing? I'm sure now I'd be way more equipped to maybe have a conversation or explain why it's a certain way. But back then, which might be a great strategy for other people, my strategy was, if this person is going to do their thing, and they don't seem to be flexible or as collaborative, we'll say. Now, she did a great job, so I'm not going to, My strategy was actually then work with the other people who are more flexible to then make a new thing. And so all of my time was spent directing Christian, who's one of my best friends. And so I worked with him and worked with him and worked with him, re-editing it in my head. I'm sure from working with me, you can see I have a lot of specificity in my head at times. I just see it. Mm-hmm. I think this is why pivoting more towards animation, more towards something like this, the reason why I feel freer is I feel like I have that control. And we'll highlight one example. The opening shot of our book is impossible. Perspective and logistics of it. But he drew it, and it looks great. It's impossible
to photograph in real life, yeah.
Yeah, it's just 100%. But I got the specific image that was in my head.
My question was, like, do you feel comfortable, like, do you feel weird about changing an actor's take versus do you feel weird about changing the illustrator's take? I was trying to compare the two. But
it's not weird. No, it's a part of the process. It's a part of the process. Yeah. So no, it's not weird.
Or do you second guess yourself?
Always, of course. But if it's not scary, it's not worth doing. Okay. Yeah. The thing is, in film, which I think is a little different than in illustration, you can do different versions, but you do those versions and then you bake it in. So when we're talking about an illustrated work, it's like me and you and maybe my team, we're seeing different versions and then we pick one. In video, you can edit it 4 different ways and give those out and get screen tests. And technically you can do that with drawing, but man, is that a lot, right? Mm. So when I'm on set, I don't have to second guess myself, Grace. I just have you do it 6 different ways.
Got you.
Right. And then in the editing room, we could fucking have that debate all day.
So when you're on set, you're just getting the takes like this versus when the drawing, it's like you send him off to
It feels more finite.
And then he comes back and then, there's more time between that.
Yeah, so there's a beauty in having to kind of commit to certain things that you, because it's more thoughtful, but it's, and I guess realistically it is more flexible because you can just redraw. So to talk about we have this big Naruto fantasy sequence, it used to just be the guy packs up his bags and we transformed it. That was sort of an in progress. It wasn't in the script. We rewrote the script. We rewrote everything to make it better, which is definitely the best part about doing animation or illustration is there are more opportunities to do that. So it's kind of a pros and cons, right? You can go ahead and be on set and move quick and be more spontaneous, right? It takes longer for him to draw the options than to just shoot another take on set. But when you're in the editing room, you're stuck with what you got. And when you're in the editing room of this, you can start all over, which we have.
Right. Mm-hmm.
So I actually like that what I learned on set, I take it in here. So we work on our comics way, way more like it's an animation piece than it's a traditional comic. Mm-hmm. So we'll spend tons of time in thumbnailing. I'll have him draw it 6 different ways. That's our storyboards. Mm-hmm. And then we collectively decide on what are the best options. And so I have somewhat combined both things, Grace, right? So it always feels weird because you always have to make a choice and you might make the wrong choice, right? And so for me, it's about creating the best environment for us to push ourselves to make unconventional choices Like on set, it's a lot harder to tell your actress to look everything everywhere all at once. You need an actress like Michelle Yeoh to be like, she talked about it. She's like, she's like, all right, I'm just going to trust you guys. I'm going to do the really weird thing that feels unnatural to me. Like they talked about that all the time.
Interesting. Huh.
Mm-hmm.
Like what?
I mean, have you seen the movie? Probably like half the movie. Can you imagine Michelle Yeoh doing half the things that she did? There's regal
like
actress
the guy.
From any of
Yeah. That's what you mean. Okay.
You know, or like because imagine without knowing the VF, all the weird head moves she had to make, and or even the scene like, I love you, I really love you, you know, like all of it. It's just so goofy. And so like, you know, for an actress like her, which is a testament to who she is as a filmmaker, because she says that, and I was just watching their Variety interview. Yeah, correct. As an actress, like, she always says like, oh, you know, it's just this, you know, I was just a silly fun movie. They were like, she says that, but if you look at her script, every line is annotated. There's notes over the whole thing. Right. And I'm like, that's awesome. I think it takes practice and time to hone in a lot of these things for the Daniels to be as confident as they are. And there's two of them. So when one feels down, the other one's like, believe, bro. So much of the game is that. And we're entering this phase with our content where we're just trying stuff and we kind of just have to believe, right? And so that's kind of really, to sum up what this week has been like, it's the beginning of those things. And soon we'll be able to see them made. Soon we'll be able to get some feedback. But it's this particular part has been a very interesting time. And you're making me now realize how much of the way we operate has been the culmination of my years of doing it and hopefully building the environment, because I feel like our team is enjoying the process too. So it's staying collaborative. So people are throwing their 2 cents in. Like, you're the one that made the Naruto scene happen. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. Or like today we were having a deep conversation about pet names as an example, which is valuable. And people feel like they can bring their input. So it's just an interesting thing. I hope that it shows up in the work. Like, I really hope that people can feel, you know, the craftsmanship and the passion that was put in. So we'll see. And we're going to be talking a lot more about this as we continue, because it's becoming more of a part of our daily job. So
I'm having fun. That's all I got to say.
You might want to try that again. That sounded like you were not having fun at all.
It's hard for me.
You're in a lot of these meetings. You're seeing a lot of this stuff. I call you in at 9:30 when you're trying to. Grace is working hard trying to prep for the day. I drag her in, tell her about a new idea. You know,
it's hard for me because I'm like I feel like I'm there, but I'm not completely there because I'm doing other stuff. But when I am, it's fun. And I mean, seeing the episode 1 sketched out yesterday was really cool. What do you call that? Sketched out, like
the thumbnails.
That wasn't a thumbnail though. It was like a full.
It was just a revised thumbnail.
Oh, it was a thumbnail? Oh, okay. Yeah, sure. The thumbnails is really exciting. Always gets me to gasp. I remember even on our first comic, it gets me to gasp. It's so cool. Yeah, it's exciting to see it to come together and to keep learning about storytelling, because again, it is a weakness for me. So, yeah.
Good. There's a lot to learn. All right, Grace, do we have a pro tip this week?
The pro tip this week, sponsored by our producer Heather, is that if you get a free subscription, or any subscription, if you get a subscription, check to see if you get another subscription with it, because she got Verizon, and with a Verizon package, and with that came Walmart Plus. And she was like, I'm not going to use Walmart Plus. But then she searched a little and saw that with Walmart Plus comes Paramount Plus. And that wasn't advertised at all with the Verizon package. So be sure to check your subscriptions, because you could find some juicy things.
I'll give you a backup pro tip is always, you think like Black Friday, they have these deals, but they have the trials around that time are also giving deals. So around that time, I got 6 months free of Apple Music. And it was through Best Buy, not Apple. So that's what was interesting. So you never know. And it doesn't take that much work because there's so many websites that aggregate this stuff now. Question?
Cool.
Of all of the anime I've been talking about, which one are you looking forward to the most?
Looking forward to what? Oh, to watch.
Yeah.
What animes have you been talking about?
I mean, bro, we went through literally my entire collection, but like, you know, there's so many classics and stuff, right? Like, yeah, which one are you like, damn, I'm actually interested in checking this one out?
We watched, it might be a bias because we watched Blue Lock. We started watching Blue Lock. So now I'm.
No, old school.
Oh, I have to be old school? Okay. Old school. I think Evangelion. Like, what? You talk about it. That's your favorite. You talk about it all the time. I used to see those people in the skin-tight suits as a kid and wonder what that was about. And my mom never let me watch it because she was like, that's not appropriate.
It's mature show.
So
it's not even like, well, yeah.
But I've heard, I've heard also the artsy kids at my school talk about Evangelion, loving it. And so I don't remember if my mom liked it or didn't like it, but I forget. It's either she has a passionate feeling about it one way or the other, but I forget which way. But either way, I want to watch it. I have no idea what it's about, but I like it that way. I don't like to know what things are about.
Oh, man.
I
can't wait then. I'm really curious. There's a few, for anyone who has seen it, there are a few moments in that show that are unparalleled, like, remarkable, you know? Like, I was like, I can't believe, you'll have a few, I can't believe this happened, or I can't believe they did this, especially around that time. Like, now people copy it or whatever, but, like, it really was iconic for its time. And changed a lot of the industry, too, which is always, of course. Cool. What about me?
If you had to get a tattoo, what would you get and where?
Oh, that's interesting, actually. So, for context,
well, first of
I
all,
don't have any.
Yeah. If you had to. I feel like you wouldn't, so I say if you had to.
Definitely, I'm down with tattoos. I just don't feel strongly enough about anything to put it on my body.
I feel that way, too. I feel like I won't commit. I'm going to regret. Anyway.
Oh, I don't think I would regret it. I'm like...
Oh.
I don't know. If you think about me, generally, right, I'm very, like, simple, clean. Like, I eat orderly and clean. Like, I'd be like, oh, there's a thing. Like, if I don't need to do something, I tend to not. I tend to keep things very simple. I just drink water, and tea now, and that's it. So I like simplicity in general, so that's probably why it's just, like, it's definitely cool, but never something I felt like I've had to do. Although I'm down with it, and I'm down with people who do it. It's all good. I think it's cool. Yeah. I actually think it's really cool. I think it's sexy, too.
Yeah.
So what would I do?
What and where?
Where? I would say in the simplest thing, it might be something related to probably my grandfather. Maybe lyrics. Like maybe Yo Soy Boricua probably on my shoulder. Kind of a thing.
Oh.
On the sort of basic side.
Show him your Boricua hat. Boricua style.
My mama got it for me when she went last fall. I have to visit the island soon. So there's that. But that, and if I were to do anything else, I think I would go one of two ways. I'd go with something that I'd want to be a reminder. So, for example, I totally would do like Memento Mori on my wrist. That would not be out of the realm. Memento Mori, it's the Stoic mantra. It's remember you will die.
Oh. I get it.
So, I think I would do something like that. That's just like something that's accessible. Right? Mm-hmm. Like, boom, don't forget who you are. Remember you're going to die someday. Whatever that mantra would be. Something. I could go that route. Yeah, I guess it would probably be more that route because there isn't. like, I guess I know it's so stupid to say it this way, but it's like, if I want to, like, I don't think I'd put like Evangelion or something on me, because I could just wear a shirt or a hat or make it my wallpaper or whatever.
That's a good point. That's an interesting
I'm not,
point.
dude, again, that's just me. As in,
No,
like,
no, yeah, I know some people. Yeah, that's an interesting point.
Yeah. So that's probably why I think I would more lean in something that was central to my character from a family philosophy type thing. That's my guess.
Cool.
Yeah. I'll also say a cool one. Again, shout out to Christian. He's got his family crest over his chest, and that's kind of just badass.
That's pretty
So if
cool.
I had like a family crest kind of shit, that would be.
Don't we
I also
all?
think that's cool. Probably.
Just Google it. Yeah.
So yeah, that's kind of cool
Okay.
too.
Cool. And this is going like into many questions, but would you do black and white or color?
Depends on what it is.
Okay.
You know, I think color for the art, but for something like a
Lyric.
something simplicity, it'd probably be black and white in that regard. But like one that I love is my Uncle Joey has a dragon on his forearm. That's so cool. And so like the claws have like blood, you know, so that's red and stuff. Like that's dope. And I think you do color for that. Like, if you're going to make it a piece of art on your body, bro, then let's go, baby. That's what's up.
All right. Cool. Well, that's it.
All right. Well, let's wrap this bad boy up, guys. Like and subscribe as always. We'll be back next week with another episode of the podcast. Work hard, be nice as always. Keep changing. Thank you very much, and have a wonderful day. Peace.